Meteorologists are at a loss to explain what is causing this weather and why it has taken flight to dry.
It is the agenda for the 21st century you're living in today. For a brave new world where everything that you cherished and held true will no longer exist.
It's okay, babe. Come here. I know your eyes are burning. Oh, God, it was a beautiful cat.
The weather conditions have worsened tremendously over the past hour. We have multiple trees now falling with embers, starting additional fires throughout the area. The fire has extended from the park into our local community in the city limits of Gatlinburg now. So due to these erratic winds, the fires continue to be unpredictable, and more fire growth is expected until the rains move in later this evening.
Now we're heading back towards where we live, which the inevitable we didn't think was going to happen. It's starting to happen. That's a cabin. There's down my road. Oh, God. Wow. It's okay, Red. Hit the gas! Hit the gas! It's too hot in here. Don't worry about the lines. Why is every cabin on fire?
This has been somewhat apocalyptic.
So this is a big story. Thousands evacuated, dozens of homes destroyed as wildfires rip through the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee. The flames already causing damage in a popular tourist destination.
Over a dozen wildfires have now forced thousands to flee eastern Tennessee.
Our community has suffered through significant storm damage over the years, but nothing like this. Over our 10 square miles of our city, about half of it has been impacted.
Unless the world stops burning fossil fuels that are fueling global warming, irreversible changes in the Arctic could have disastrous effects for the people that live there and for the rest of the planet. That's the conclusion of a report from the Arctic Council, who say the frozen region's ecosystems are fundamentally threatened by climate change and other human activities.
Anda la cresta, sí, mira, están... Por ahí, hay gente arriba, sí. Vamos, anda tú. Es que vos no sabes andar.
Days of torrential rain in Italy have left entire villages covered in mud. Some of the worst hit areas are in the northwest of the country, including here in Arezzo, Liguria. 2 people died as a result of the flooding and 3 more are still missing. Though the situation is said to have improved, there are still fears that deadly landslides could be triggered at any moment. The agricultural organisation Coldiretti estimate the cost of extreme weather events in Italy over the past 10 years at €14 billion. Here in Genoa, a landslide from the hills in the north threatened to level several buildings. Over 200 people have been displaced. Authorities and civilians are continuing to work to secure precarious structures. Chasms have opened up in this ski resort in Monesi, which has been partially evacuated. Hydrogeological problems in the area have been worsening year upon year.
New information on a rare and deadly phenomenon in Australia. Health officials say 8 people have died and 1 remains on life support more than a week after a rare condition called thunderstorm asthma struck Melbourne. Heavy rain and wind last week triggered thousands of pollen allergy asthma attacks, and the storm caused wet ryegrass pollen grains to explode and disperse all over the city. Those tiny pollen particles getting deep into people's lungs, causing many to have breathing problems. Around a third of patients who suffered asthma attacks reported to never have had asthma before.
I created reptiles.
Cases of H5N8 bird flu have been detected in wild ducks in northern France amid a recent outbreak of the disease in Europe. France, Europe's largest poultry producer, is still recovering from a severe epidemic which led to a total halting of duck and goose production in the southwest of the country in January. We've seen that there have been cases of wild birds contaminating domestic poultry, said Loïc Evin of the French Agriculture Ministry. It's a risk that we clearly can't rule out. That's why it's very important all the farmers' protection measures are taken to avoid the transfer of the virus from the wild to our livestock. Outbreaks in neighbouring countries including the Netherlands, Switzerland and Germany prompted the ministry to impose additional precautions at farms and restrict hunting and bird gathering earlier this month.
Moving to Japan now, where around 310,000 chickens and ducks have been culled at a farm on the coast of the Sea of Japan. It comes after a highly pathogenic strain of H5 avian influenza was detected in 5 birds in Niigata and Aomori. Workers dug trenches and buried the slaughtered birds to contain the spread of the virus. The Environment Ministry is sending investigation experts to the affected areas and has issued the highest caution warning in the country.
China's Sino-GA signed a $390 million contract with Slovenian aircraft manufacturer Pipistrel at the beginning of November, while the agreement calls for 2 factories to be built in China that will produce 500 ultralight aircraft every year. It also involves transfer of technology and also selling rights in 11 Asian countries.
But they blamed a lot of people, and a lot of people that were involved. And I think that sour grapes, I think it's why don't we kill the messenger? And they picked out a whole lot of people and put them in the same category. But to tell you the truth, I'm very concerned about fake news stories, and I have been. That's what my Liberty Report is all about, is trying to sort out the truth. But I think where really the fake stories come from, the fake news comes from our own government when they tell us about why we have to go to war and do these different things in our economic reports. And that's probably what was the big issue of the campaign. That's probably why Trump did so well.
Jill Stein is a complete idiot. Her recount campaign has nothing to do with electoral integrity. It's a vicious assault on the very bedrock of democracy itself.
This is not being done to benefit one candidate at the expense of the other.
Really? Is that why all the recounts are taking place only in states that Trump won? Why not a single recount in a blue state that Hillary narrowly won? Jill, Trump won Pennsylvania by 78,000 votes, while Clinton won New Hampshire by less than 3,000 votes. She won Minnesota by less than 44,000 votes and Nevada by around 26,000 votes. Smaller margins than Trump won Pennsylvania in every case. Why no recount in any of those states? Why a recount in Michigan, which doesn't even use electronic voting machines? None of their systems are even connected to the internet. Both Stein and Hillary Clinton's campaign admit they have no proof whatsoever of any fraud. Cuba's last election seemed a little bit fishy. How about a recount there? And while you're at it, why don't you audit California and find out how many illegal aliens voted for Hillary? That's not going to happen, is it, Jill? Because this has nothing to do with electoral integrity. It's about you remaining relevant, having failed to get barely 1% of the vote. It's about you fooling people into giving you a ton of money for something disguised as a recount, which when you read the fine print actually says the surplus money is going straight into the Green Party's back pocket. It's about you trying to regain lefty street cred by doing Hillary's dirty work for her. It's about the left trying to delegitimize Trump's presidency before it even begins by stripping him of his electoral college margin of victory, forcing Congress to directly select Trump. So all the butthurt "Hillary won the popular vote" morons can go out and riot again, full of contrived righteous indignation. Unless they engage in brazen fraud, Trump is still going to be president. But given that the recounts probably won't even be done in time, they're going to use this to disrupt the electoral college vote before December 19th. Oh, and isn't it just rich that the raised corpse of Hillary, only people who hate democracy challenge election results, Clinton, is now hovering in the background of all this. Maybe November Hillary should have listened to October Hillary.
To say you won't respect the results of the election, that is a direct threat to our democracy. Look, some people are sore losers and, we just gotta keep going.
The same hag who lectured us about being sore losers refused to even concede to Trump on election night until Obama basically forced her to.
Should the mainstream media give to this Jill Stein-inspired recount in Wisconsin? And the consensus of my panel, and I completely agree with this, is not much. I mean, obviously it's got to be mentioned, but because Donald Trump won the state of Wisconsin by, I believe, 22,000 votes, the outcome is not going to be overturned. And even if it were, he still would have enough electoral votes to assume the presidency on January 20th.
This is not the first thing that the president-elect has said or tweeted that President Obama disagrees with. The freedom that we all have to express ourselves in the way that we choose to do so is protected by the United States Constitution. Similar freedoms related to the practice of religion, speech, the institution of journalism are also enshrined in our Constitution and are worth protecting.
We've confirmed from multiple law enforcement sources that he's 18-year-old Abdul Ali Artan. We're still trying to gather more information about him, but that's what we have right now. And
We do stand on the edge of a great new era.
We built this great industrial powerhouse.
The whole idea of industrial capitalism in the West, government that was going to invest in infrastructure.
It is a time for pathfinders and pioneers.
What happened to the American century?
The share of income that we put into infrastructure has gone down starkly.
If you travel around the country, there's just not that much that's new.
What happened to America's ideal of progress?
All these things that had been established after the Great Depression fell apart.
You'll see that whole streets are just closing down.
A community that's undereducated, underemployed.
Baltimore was a blue-collar town. Now the air quality is wonderful because there's no industry here anymore. It's beyond light.
Detroit had a population of about 2 million people in 1950. It's now a little over 600,000.
A huge percentage of that budget goes to the military. This is an economy that's based to a large degree on killing people.
If you were to cut the military budget in half, we'd have a depression in the United States.
So they're literally working full-time and making poverty wages.
You have 1,600 vacant houses. It's insane.
They said, let's save a few dollars and pump the water in from the Flint River.
Decades and decades of being ignored.
Americans are finding themselves in a desperate situation.
They're new states.
A lot of talented people here, but you will never know because of the reputation we got.
If you're an entrepreneur right now in America, the last thing you want to do is take risks. This is not a world I want to take risks.
America is not the pillar of democracy and freedom that it was once seen to be.
Here we are, naked in front of the world. It's a real tragedy.